Okay. In the essence of full disclosure, one, I was never a huge Star Trek fan. I enjoyed the movies, never watched any of the TV shows of the cartoon series or read any of the books. Two, I am not a J.J. Abrams fan. I've never seen Lost and I hated Cloverfield. That being said, last night I saw Star Trek. Now, I know some of the fans are going to look at it and go, they use a cheap plot device. I'm going to give it away right now, it's time travel. It's time travel, and it's also, like parallel time. If you're a comic book fan, think of it as a what if or an Elseworld style. Because pretty much what you have is, you have a tear in space and time. Again, I'm probably doing this wrong, but anyways, in layman's terms, you have a tear in space and time, which has a Romulan come back into the past. This is around the time that Kirk is being born. Actually, this is exactly the time Kirk is being born. Which is your first, battle against this gigantic Romulan ship. I mean, this thing is huge. Huge. I mean, this thing makes... It looks like he's pretty much flying like the Death Star, if you're a Star Wars fan. He's flying the Death Star around. But it's bigger and it looks far more impressive. The special effects in the movie are absolutely fantastic. Now, you can tell that Abrams was more of a Star Wars fan than a Star Trek fan, which he has mentioned before. There's a lot more placed into the action. There's a lot less when it comes to overall dialogue. The sections of dialogue actually are very good. But primarily, this is an action flick. I mean, this seems like, if they were to make a video game based off this movie, it would almost seem like it would be a first-person shooter. Now, the guy who played Kirk did a pretty decent job, From what I gathered from most of the TV shows and the movies that I saw, Kirk normally was a, get into trouble and then fight his way out of it. That's essentially the person that played Kirk now. Same style of character. They do some nods here and there. Like you'll hear, Bowen say like, I'm a doctor, not a blank. You do see Kirk kind of pet a green chick, which again is something that I, as a non-hardcore fan, picked up small stuff here and there. The sound effects, when they beam back and forth, it is the original sound effect. It's been updated. Zachary Quinto is Spock. Did a very good job, but then again, his role on Heroes as Siler essentially the same thing. It's a very logical, very little emotional character. Now, seeing Leonard Nimoy in this movie, wow. Wow. He meets up with, I'll give away some plot points here, so, I'll say a couple seconds. Good movie, good special effects, good dialogue, and the trailers for it were all the other summer blockbusters. This is easily the best summer blockbuster so far, because it is entirely special effects. There's a story, and the story's pretty good. It's not too hard to follow. It is full of holes. Bear that in mind. And it's more Star Wars than Star Trek. Now I'll get into some of the more specific plot points. Okay. Spock, Ambassador Spock, who would be Nimoy, meets up with Kirk. After Kirk becomes first mate, he's not captain. He's not captain. After he gets kicked off the ship for kind of doing, mutiny. Spock and Kirk are on what I'll just call Hoth. They're on Hoth. They run to a space station where Scotty is. Scotty hadn't figured out how to, beam back and forth between ships going at light speed or warp speed. And Nimoy's like, it's because you haven't discovered it yet. Tells him the formula for it, because, Nimoy's from the future. Gets that stuff all set up. They beam onto the Starship Enterprise. Beam right onto it. A little bit of kind of a comedy spot there, no problem. Runs all the way through it. Is able to get Quinto, current Spock, to show emotion that's being compromised in his role being a leader, because shortly before that, Vulcan gets destroyed. Yeah, so currently there is no Vulcan, because a Romulan who saw his planet be destroyed in the future got stuck in the past and has waited 25 years to capture Nimoy Spock. And then he also finds out that there's also Quinto Spock. So he has both of them watch as he drills into Vulcan and essentially makes a black hole inside there. I guess if you want to destroy a planet, a black hole is the way to go. And then he decides, well, I'm going to go to Earth. You know, Kirk gets Quinto, which lots of emotion, and pretty much beat the crap out of him. Which then leads to Kirk taking over, you know, then flying to Earth to essentially have the battle between the two of them. And the Enterprise and another ship from the future take out this huge Romulan ship, which I think early in the movie took out like six starships in like seconds. Like they warped out and it just cut them to shreds. So, you know, overall it's more of an action-packed movie than the typical, you know, more talky style of Star Trek. But very good. And it is set in a way where if you are not a hardcore fan, you will be able to follow it. If you are a hardcore fan, you're probably going to be able to nitpick the crap out of it. I now consider to say I understand. Like, I'm a comic book fan. And when I see a movie like Watchmen, you pick up little things here and there. You see V for Vendetta, you pick up little things here and there. You watch Wolverine or X-Men or Fantastic Four or any kind of movies, and you go, you know, there are little things here and there that I don't agree with, that don't really tear the movie apart for me, because I'm not that huge of a fan. But I know enough to know when they're taking too far of liberties. So I consider to say I understand the other side of the coin. You know, being somebody who doesn't know a lot about it, but knows a little bit. I know probably like maybe 3 to 4 inches of like the 30 miles that makes up the Star Trek universe. So, again, casual fan, good, nice summer blockbuster. Hardcore fan, at least give it a shot. You know, if you don't like it, you know that the rest of the movies just to entirely avoid. And, yep.